got a couple of photos in there, especially like a picture of a house and then a picture of all the contents of a house. And now you're talking about it, they're visualizing it, and everything you're saying is gone right through the gate and right into the subconscious.
Thank you.
Right. That's a great suggestion. Dustin, I think some of these. I think you need to perhaps start out with maybe start out with like a pain. Like maybe start out with why most businesses, why 90% of businesses fail in the first 3 years. Why then 95% of those fail in 5 years and 10 years. Maybe start out with some facts like that, and then
what it is. Call it. It's about cash flow.
Yeah.
Every business is about cash flow.
And
about cash flow.
And then lead them on. So you tell them why most businesses fail, and use like facts, like from Fortune magazines or one of those magazines, and then say, well, folks, guess what the number one reasons why businesses fail? And you say cash flow, and then you explain that to them about, and then you can say how many of you are still, but like, because right now you're not making it painful enough for them. You ask them how many of you are entrepreneurs. How many of you want to have money for your business, and how many of you want to have money for multiple businesses. And so you're giving them the pleasure, but you haven't made it painful for them yet. You haven't made them feel like, what am I going to do? What's going to happen to my business if I don't have money?
Okay. Do you start off with your presentation and you go right into pain?
Well, you're down here now, aren't you?
Well, this is I'm like warming up at this point. The next 55 minutes, I'm going to show you how to go get money for your business, blah, blah, blah. But before I get started, let me ask, how many of you, and then I
okay.
Inventory.
I see.
I'll do pain because someone actually recommended that as well. I just don't know where to put that, like the order. I'm confused.
Right.
I think that's something I have to determine, but I'll definitely listen to any of your guys' input.
Well, yeah, my pain does happen pretty early on. It happens after my story.
Okay.
So, let me see if I can open up my presentation here.
Hey Dustin, here's some pain. Hey, last year when our business was meager at times, I didn't take paychecks. I didn't take a weekly or a monthly paycheck at times because I wanted to make payroll for my employees. Now that's painful.
Yeah, that's a great pain.
But I still had 2 months down the road, I had a huge deal that was going to pop. But we had to cut back because of the cash flow. I mean, it would be great. I want your system.
Okay, look, Dustin, look at my presentation, okay? So here's the PowerPoint, and then here's funny, sad, telling them my story, telling them now my lifestyle now, giving them some cool quote, telling them my lifestyle, showing them my income, and then I go into the pain.
Okay.
So my pain happens pretty early, but that's because my story was quite long. Oops. It's okay. It's okay that you have the format that you're having now. Just have these questions, these rapport questions, stronger questions.
Okay.
Okay. So just make them, because they're not. Man, these questions are not grabbing me. They're not grabbing me and say, yeah, that's me. So if you tell me something like, how many of you have been in a situation where you got a deal and you know it's a good deal, but you just don't know how to fund the deal? See, that would grab my attention more. And so.
Here's another one for you, Dustin. rehab costs, man. I hate paying hard money at 15% and 4 points for my rehab expense. Man, I'd love to be able to throw it on a credit card and then pay that credit card off in 3 months.
So how many hard money lenders in the room? Yes, sir. What are hard money rates? 14 and 4%? Well, you can go and get banked 0% interest.
Yeah.
You got that right.
Yeah, you can play something like that. You definitely can play something like that. But think about your audience and ask questions that you know for sure that if you ask that questions that a lot of them will, you will grab their attention, you get them to raise their hand. And so think about stronger questions. I think your format's fine. Just got to figure out the stronger questions. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. How many of you use your corporation or entity to save you money? How many of you use?
A lot of you think about, you have a big conservative notion. You came in here today and you thought, getting business credit is all about getting $50 or $100 or $250,000. Well, with business credit, we can actually save money, save ourselves money. We can actually protect our families. You see,
right.
With business credit, there's an asset protection component built in.
Right. Okay. Let me think about that a little bit more. I think you're giving them the benefits way too early without educating them on their pain.
Okay.
Because
what do you tell the story, Dustin, about somebody wanting to get into real estate and then how they went in and do a deal and the pain of not being able to do the deal and then they needed the money and they finally did it and all the way up to the point where they finally got business credit. I mean, sort of storyboard it out so that you walk them through their life, what it's about to be.
Oh yeah, talking about story. You won't believe this. Most stories that Ernie Kessler told in his presentation were made-up stories. I mean, it sounds real. It sounds just like it's a story from one of his students, but they're just made-up stories to either elicit a pain or to make a point. And so, if you have to make up stories, that's fine. You can make it up, and you can start your story out with saying, you can say something like this. You can say, picture this, folks. I had a student who came to me. I had a student named Dustin, and Dustin came to me, blah blah blah, and so it could be a combination of like a real story of what something happened, but you don't have that person's name, so you're just going to create a name for that person. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, look at Robert Kiyosaki. I mean, his Rich Dad Poor Dad story. I mean, that whole thing was just made up. But it was created to show a point, and so think about that. Okay. So you're talking about Mark. Why are you talking about Mark?
Yeah, pull up the next one here. I think I'm going to lag. But this is one of the questions I have for the group. I get joked all the time that I look young. So I turn that into a strength, and maybe I shouldn't. But here's what it goes. How many of you know this guy right here, and they don't see the Facebook logo until later? This is Zuckerberg, and then I click, and then they say Facebook, and they're like, oh, yeah. I said, this guy, Mark just turned down $1 billion offer from Yahoo. $1 billion offer from Yahoo for his company, and he's 3 years younger than me. Now, if I could show you a way to get $100,000 in business lines of credit in the next 90 days, would it matter how old I was? And that's how I overcome.
Dustin, I wouldn't even bring that up. When I met you face to face the other night, I saw that you were young, but that didn't make a difference to me. You got something I need, and I wouldn't even bring that as an issue. You're an entrepreneur. You're a businessman. You're educated, and I wouldn't even throw that out for somebody even to have that thought.
Right. I would definitely agree with that, Dustin, because I mean, I look pretty young myself, and it just places more authority for me. Well, heck, I'm young and successful. What's your excuse?
Okay.
Right?
So Tim on one side, he makes no bones about, he says, hey, I'm from Vietnam, and he talks to people about being from Vietnam. And with the Vietnam War and so forth, Tim's dealing with people that have brothers or lost somebody in the Vietnam War, that could be a sore issue. But Tim doesn't approach it to bring it up as a sore issue, so it still makes Tim appealing and acceptable to all audiences, even though Vietnam can be a sore subject to many people out there.
Yeah, and you can even play on this. Say, look, how old are you, Dustin?
25.
Okay, say, look, folks, I'm 25 years old, and within 90 days, I was able to get over $93,000. You can do this too.
I like that.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dustin. I'd rather see that happen than you make an exploit that, hey, I'm only 25.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So play on that. I can do this at 25. What's your excuse? So play on that.
Right.
Okay. And then you go on about my story, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Inside Top Investors and Speakers. Okay. And then, pictures of all the people you've been with. Alrighty. But at the end of the day, it was still a job. Okay. Oh, you're talking about your story with Foreclosures Daily?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got access to all this, traveled all around the world, blah, 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 blah,
Gotcha.
blah. But at the end of the day, it was a job. And I tell a story of how I was sitting in my office,
Right.
and I had to make a decision. I try to do the subconscious thing, or I do the subconscious thing there. I have to make a decision to go out and make it happen. But
Right.
knowing about the power of business credit, I could have left my job a lot sooner. You see, we can actually use business credit and pay ourselves a salary. Now, I'm not talking a $100,000 salary, just enough to cover expenses.
Right.
And then I go and tell them, I said, look, if I'm in business startup mode right now without any business credit, I wouldn't be able to have these things. And I show them a picture of my condo on the water. I show them a picture of my girlfriend and I going down to Costa Rica. And then I also tell them I have a TV show in Tampa where we interview people. So that's
Right.
how I give back. So that's
Right.
lifestyle. I make a joke. Folks, I'm here to share with you today the power of business credit. Or actually, I don't need to say. I say, folks, look, I'm not an attorney or a tax professional, but I did stay at the Holiday Inn Express last night. What I have to share for you is a system, a proven system for going and getting. So I try to get these jokes in there,
Right, that's good.
For going and getting business credit, and then we jump in.
Right. Okay. All right. Let me go. Challenges with most entrepreneurs. Done. See, you did this presentation for entrepreneurs. You didn't do this presentation for real estate investors. They're two very different people. So you might want to think about that.
Okay.
You're using the word entrepreneurs way too many times. Use the word real estate investors.
Okay.
Personal credit actually costs you more credit.
So this is where I turn up the pain. I tell them, if you're carrying your business right now on your personal credit card, it's actually costing you. And then I go through the staff and things like that.
Right. Okay. I'm telling you, I would rather much play on the fact about having these business lines of credit to do your own deals, to act as a hard money lenders for your friends' deals or other people's deals, to loan money to others. I would play from that perspective. Okay. I would say, folks, using my system. How many of you would like, just like what Ernie did, right? How many of you want to sit back and collect checks every month like a banker does? Well, I'm going to show you how, starting today, you can become the bank. You are the one that's loaning money out to other people, if that's what you want to do. Never when we, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But I would play on that more, because it's more specific to real estate investors. That's more painful for them than these things are.
I was going to say, I know we're running short on time. Will you go to